The red Ferrari glided down Route 51, sunlight flashing off its mirror-bright surface, a beacon of success that some still refused to accept. Moments later, a patrol cruiser appeared in the rearview mirror, sirens silent, but judgment loud. Behind the wheel sat Elias Grant, composed, disciplined, a man who'd earned everything he owned. Yet to one officer, that didn't matter. To him, Elias wasn't a driver, he was a target. What followed would expose not just prejudice, but power twisted by ego. And within minutes, the man who thought his badge made him untouchable would learn what accountability really feels like. But first, please make sure to subscribe the channel and comment below from which city you are watching this video. The Ferrari eased onto the shoulder of Route 51, its red paint burning beneath the afternoon sun like defiance itself. Behind the wheel sat Elias Grant, a tall black man whose calm came not from arrogance, but from training. 12 years of federal discipline, the kind of composure that couldn't be taught in a small-town academy. In his rearview mirror, he watched the patrol cruiser stop. The officer stepped out, moving with the swagger of someone who believed authority meant invincibility. His name tag read Calloway. No greeting, no explanation. Just a barked order, license and registration. Elias rolled the window down slowly, every motion deliberate, every breath measured. "Good afternoon, officer," he said evenly. "May I ask why I was stopped?" Calloway leaned in close, his smirk curling like smoke. "Nice ride. Ferrari, right? Mind telling me how a guy like you pays for something like that?" "A guy like you." 3 words, drenched in centuries of venom. Elias didn't react, though anger stirred deep inside. His nephew's graduation was only 30 minutes away, a promise he intended to keep. But prejudice had other plans. "I work for a living," Elias said quietly. The officer chuckled, cruel, dismissive. "Sure. Regular jobs don't buy toys like these, especially not for people in your demographic." Elias's phone buzzed, his sister Leah checking in, unaware her brother was being profiled on the side of a highway. He took a slow breath. He knew this dance. The ritual humiliation disguised as protocol. When Calloway's hand brushed the holster, and he said, "Step out of the vehicle," Elias understood what was coming. This wasn't about a broken law. It was about the color of his skin. Elias stepped out of the Ferrari, every movement slow, precise, a man determined not to give them a single excuse. The heat shimmered off the asphalt as he straightened to his full height, broad-shouldered and calm, the kind of presence that carried quiet power. "Hands on the roof," Calloway snapped, his tone sharp and impatient. Elias complied, his palms pressed against the cooling metal, feeling the hum of the engine beneath his skin. The pat-down that followed wasn't procedure, it was punishment. Calloway's hands were rough, deliberate, searching for anything to justify his bias. His fingers dug too deep, probing like he was trying to provoke fear. But Elias didn't flinch. He'd been trained to stand taller under pressure. Nothing. Disappointment flashed across Calloway's face. "So, what's your story? Got yourself a rich daddy, or is this drug money? Because a car like this doesn't just fall into your lap." Elias stayed still, voice calm and even. "I told you, officer, I work. And unless you have probable cause, I'd like to leave. I have somewhere important to be." Calloway's laugh was sharp and ugly. "Important? What's that supposed to mean? Court date? Parole check-in?" "I'm going to my nephew's graduation," Elias said quietly. "Sure you are," Calloway smirked. "And I'm the president." His next word came soft but cruel, the kind of word that still carried the weight of centuries. "Boy." Elias's jaw tightened. Inside, he memorized every moment, every insult, every unlawful action. This was more than harassment. It was evidence. When Calloway grabbed his shoulder and spun him around, Elias's composure didn't break. The officer barked into his radio, calling for backup. Young black male. Flashy car. Evasive answers. "That's enough for me." Within minutes, blue and red lights bled across the asphalt. 3 more officers arrived, forming a half-circle of authority and assumption. Their hands hovered near their holsters, eyes sharp with judgment. Across the street, a man stepped out of his car, phone already raised. Something in his gut told him this needed to be filmed. That recording would soon tell the world everything. "Let's rip it apart," Calloway said, snapping on gloves. They tore through Elias's belongings without a word of consent. Gym clothes scattered onto the dirt. A folder of work documents hit the ground, papers fluttering like torn dignity. A small box rolled toward his shoe, a watch, the gift for his nephew's graduation. Every object became a symbol of their contempt. Every second, another violation. You think you're clever, don't you? Calloway sneered. You look the part, talk smooth, think you're smarter than us. I'm legitimate, Elias said quietly. Legitimate? Calloway mocked. Yeah, sure. Affirmative action. Handouts. Charity degrees. The mask was gone. The racism was naked now. One of the younger officers shifted uneasily. Travis, he whispered, maybe we should chill. Calloway's glare shut him down instantly. He talks fancy, dresses clean, drives a Ferrari, and thinks he's white when it suits him. Guys like this always have something to hide. Elias's voice stayed level, steady as stone. Driving while black isn't probable cause. Owning a car isn't probable cause. What you're doing has nothing to do with law enforcement, just prejudice. The words landed hard. Calloway's face darkened, his jaw tightening as control began to slip. He stepped closer, so close Elias could smell the bitterness on his breath. If I say you're a dealer, that's all I need. Elias's reply was soft, deliberate, and final. Then show me your warrant. The air went still, charged, electric. A line had been drawn, and just beyond the flashing lights, headlights appeared on the horizon. Someone else was arriving. Someone who would change everything. The stillness of the highway broke as new headlights rolled onto the scene, slow, deliberate, commanding. A black SUV came to a stop behind the cruisers, its engine purring like a quiet warning. For the first time, uncertainty flashed across Officer Calloway's face. This wasn't more backup. This was something else. The door opened and out stepped Captain Mariah Steele, authority embodied, boots crunching against gravel as the red and blue lights painted her face. She didn't speak right away. Her eyes scanned everything. The Ferrari with its doors open, Elias standing calm but humiliated, the officers with their gloves and arrogance. When she finally spoke, her voice cut through the tension like a blade. Gentlemen, I've seen enough. Calloway straightened, trying to recover his swagger. Captain Steele, we had cause too. Don't, she interrupted sharply. Every second of this stop was recorded. Her gaze locked on Calloway, cold and unflinching. You just showed me exactly what's been rotting this department from the inside. Confusion flickered across his face. What are you talking about? Steele took another step closer, arms folded, voice steady as judgment itself. You want to know? This wasn't random. I personally worked with Agent Elias Grant. I asked him to drive this route, in that Ferrari, to see how my officers would respond. Her words hit like thunder. Silence crashed down. The other officers exchanged uneasy glances, realization dawning far too late. I didn't, Calloway stammered, his confidence collapsing. Save it, she snapped. You profiled a federal agent because of the color of his skin. You fabricated probable cause. You humiliated a man who outranks you by miles. And in doing so, you didn't just disgrace yourselves, you disgraced this entire department. Every syllable landed like a verdict. Elias stood still, composed, watching as the truth unfolded exactly the way he knew it would. Captain Steele's next words sealed it. Effective immediately, Officer Calloway, and every man who participated in this stop, you're all terminated. Turn in your badges. Silence. Justice, for once, didn't whisper. It roared. Calloway's mouth opened, but no sound came. His badge, once a symbol of untouchable power, now felt heavy in his trembling hand. The same silence he had forced on Elias moments earlier now wrapped around him, suffocating. Captain Steele turned toward Elias. Her expression softened, not with pity but respect. Thank you, Agent Grant, she said quietly. You just proved exactly why I took this position. Elias gave a small nod, eyes steady, voice calm. Let's hope it finally changes something. It will, she replied, glancing back at the disgraced officers. Because starting today, this department cleans house. The scene hung there for a moment, the broken authority, the Ferrari gleaming beneath the fading sun, and one man standing tall, dignity unshaken. Elias didn't gloat, didn't celebrate. He simply turned toward his car, reclaiming what had always been his freedom, his respect, his peace. As the door shut and the engine purred to life, the air shifted. The sound of justice, quiet yet undeniable, followed him down Route 51. Somewhere behind him, a camera still recorded, footage that would soon go viral, exposing the truth to millions. But for Elias, that wasn't the victory. The real victory was walking away with his integrity intact. Because sometimes karma doesn't arrive in lightning or rage. Sometimes it comes in silence, with a signature on a termination letter and a lesson carved into history. If you believe bad cops deserve to be exposed and good ones deserve to lead, hit that like button and share this story. Because every time a system holds itself accountable, it proves one truth: justice doesn't begin with punishment. It begins with courage. So tell me, if no one was recording, if no one saw what happened, would justice still have shown up that day?